How do you think about it when you think about that Youngboy is the biggest rapper from the area you're from?
I think it makes sense.
Right.
I think it makes sense. I think him and Fredo, I think they are Baton Rouge. And Boosie was that before. But I think I think it makes sense. I think I look at those guys and I see Baton Rouge on them. Even the way they talk, in their demeanor, kind of how they came up, like the look in their eyes, and kind of how things exist where I'm from. It makes sense.
But do you what do you think that you would have thought of that shit if you were 17? And do you think that that would have ultimately made you less likely to live a happy, long, successful life?
Thought of what shit?
The music, but less the music and more so like kind of the ethos that is being put out by somebody like Youngboy or Fredo, where it's like very, and it's not like there weren't rappers at that time saying the same thing, but it seems to me that Youngboy is the #1 rapper in the world, basically, based on like, YouTube streams and shit like that. Like, it seems kind of unique that he's had this cloud of extreme violence around him, and he's that big. And a lot of his music, if you were a young kid and you listen to it, you might take it as like almost literal directions on how, like, they love him for a lot of stuff besides the violence, because I think Youngboy is a big part of why he's so big is just because of his emotional status, the fact that he's like really willing to just lay it all out there. Yes, he does act like a super thug, but he also will really act in a way that is very far from that. And I think that is, it's kind of hard for me to make sense of that when I think about just how I would view that if I was a young kid coming up with that.
He's a product of his environment, bro. Like, he's literally telling you he's going through pain. He's having problems with niggas in the streets. And when you grow up in the hood, that's what you really go through.
But you can only be a product of your environment so long. I feel like he's so big that he is now affecting and impacting his environment through his words, his music, right?
When he goes home, bro, that shit is not off. It don't matter how big he is. If he goes to his neighborhood, he's still a target. He's still whatever. If YG goes to his neighborhood, it doesn't matter how much money he has. It doesn't matter how much that he's seen. You put it right back in there because you're the poster boy now for this whole community of niggas that's doing all of this bullshit in the streets.
It's even not. You're right back there, but it's always with you. So when you're born, to a certain point, you learn, and then maturing is actually about unlearning. Because even like what it is that you eat and how it is that you are, like your parents give you your diet. Your parents give you your religion. Your parents give you your ethics. And then you go up and you see the world for what it is for yourself, and then you have to unlearn that. How old is Youngboy?
21 or 22.
So the reality is that the process by which it would take for him to reevaluate what he thinks for his life, and I'm not speaking for the brother, I've never met him, don't know him, would take a while, especially if he made it to where he is being exactly how he is. So it's just a second. And when I was coming up in Baton Rouge, I mean, we had rappers. We had none as big as the guys right now. We had Young Bleed,
Soulja Slim.
We had but that's New Orleans. But we had Young Bleed, we had CeeLo, we had the concentration camp. We had a lot of guys that were doing it, and we wanted to be those guys. I mean, it was the same thing. It's just what happened was P came through, and then a little bit after P, Baby and them came through, and they broke the state as far as hip hop is concerned. They got us out there as far as that was, and then, but it would have been the same thing. Like I just said a second ago, it was the Hot Boys, it was Wayne, it was Young Bleed, it was MC Nero, it was all of those guys, right? All of those guys, and they was talking the shit that we was used to. When Bout It hit, bro, that was like that's a anthem for the way the whole state felt. If you go back and watch the video, just the feeling, like you can smell the reality in it.
The basketball court one, right?
What you talking about?
Is the Bout It video the one that was on the basketball court?
It's him in the project.
Oh, that's a different one then?
Yeah, I mean,
Make him say was the one on the basketball court.
Oh, that was the basketball court. That's totally different. That was when they had that was when they had made it. You know what I'm saying?
That was the shiniest video of all time.
Right. That was them.
With the tanks and shit.
With the tanks. That
on
was
the
them.
basketball court?
That's hard too though. But that was the whole shit. But it is what it is. Everybody got a different journey. We just got to make sure that people got the right options and they got the right choices to make, that those choices are available to them. And you do what you can.
Yeah, definitely. The Youngboy thing, though, is kind of fascinating because he was in the position where he knew he was on probation, he knew he couldn't be having guns, and he still got caught up for basically holding guns. And they ended up getting the memory card from the filmer or whatever, and they ended up seeing him with all these guns from there. But that very much, and you know,
How does it get rid of the guns though? They killing members. They shooting each other. How does it get rid of the guns?
But he clearly has enough money to just hire security, not have to ever touch a gun again in his life. And that's like his brother has gone on record as saying we get him security, and he doesn't want to use security. He doesn't want to play by the rules, regardless of how obvious it is that he needs to play by the rules to not end up in jail.
But look at the ethos,
and now
like you
he's
said.
looking at 5-6 plus years.
But you said the ethos of it, the image, like we look down on niggas who get security in this, even though it's not right. But you know, like there's certain rappers that there's a couple rappers, once they get robbed, you like, oh, he ain't about to do nothing about it. Your mind already goes to this guy is this way. Something's going to happen if something happens to this guy. So when you see a rapper get robbed, in your mind, you like, I don't even listen to a nigga no more because everything that he done spoke about in my mind now was erased. So these kids is looking at Youngboy like, you're this, or somebody may say Lil Reese is the Grim Reaper. You know what I mean? And if he does something that goes against that, people are gonna look at him and everything that he says or ever did, it goes out the window. So security for a nigga like Youngboy, for his fans, it don't make sense.
If there was one message that I could give to rappers, please get security.
Yes.
There is nothing soft about safety. What the fuck are we talking about? What's soft about safety? You know what I'm saying? You walk in some place, and if you know people, if you got enemies or you got, like, what's soft about safety? Get some security. What good is the fucking chain around your corpse? What the fuck are you talking about? Man, look, I don't get the whole shit. I never had to. Like, I don't understand that. Like, look, I know, bruh, I believe it. If you tell me you tough, I believe you. I'm like, all right, cool. Turn the game on. Let's play. You know what I'm saying?
It took me a long time in my life to realize that it was just totally okay to just be a pussy and just admit.
No,
use
what's
a bitch.
pussy? Hold on. What's pussy? Hold on for a second though, because I gotta understand. Because we gotta define pussy, right?
Right.
What's pussy about having security? Is the president pussy? Hold on for a second. I'm just asking you. Is the president pussy? So you go swim at a pool that doesn't have a lifeguard. Is that pussy? Is it pussy to swim at a pool with a lifeguard? Is it pussy? Is it pussy to be safe?
I just mean
Is
in
it
the
pussy?
sense that
Like what do we do? Is a seatbelt pussy?
as
Where
a
does
young
it stop?
guy, it seemed like such a big deal to me to basically be able to fight. And
That's
as I
different.
got older, it just kind of became like,
No.
why would I? But I guess
bro,
like having a gun is like a big part of that over time. That doesn't seem like it matters. But when you're in high school, being able to fight seems like it matters a lot more.
But that's just standing up for yourself as a man.
Yeah.
You don't have to gangbang or do anything for. And I tell people all the time, like somebody like a lot of incidents that have been happening, right? They'll get mad at Adam, and I'll be right here with them, and I'll be like, nigga, why don't you have that same energy for me? I don't care if you're from a street or whatever situation is. As a man, you're supposed to stand up for yourself. You don't have to be afraid to fight or anything like that. Motherfucking soldiers went out to battle, didn't have no choice and shit, put their lives on the line for this country, was little ass kids and shit like that. Like, nah, you don't have to do that shit. And like you said about the security thing, bro, the number one thing people glorify is you can't come back to your hood. You know what I'm saying? Look at Dirk. You can't come back to your hood, huh? Like, that's how niggas talk. Niggas say rappers and shit now be like, oh, you can't. Oh, he don't go to his block no more. I done heard this shit about me before. Oh, that nigga, he's doing this now, or he's doing this now. And I've been intrigued, and I've been back to the hood and did stupid shit that could have got me locked away trying to get justification from these type of niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Look, here's the thing. Now, I hear you 1,000%. Look, man, this shit is really stupid. Like, so for me, it doesn't even matter if you can fight. It just matters that you fight.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if you can fight.
right.
Like my uncle told me one time, was like, yo, you know, somebody fucking with you, just make them remember you. Just let them know. He was like, yo, just let them know you're not the one to fuck with. Just make them remember you.
But that advice seems a lot more pragmatic when you are not in an environment where somebody will shoot you.
Well, here's the thing. You have no control over that. So at a certain point, you have to understand, number one, who you fucking with, and you have to set limits and boundaries for yourself. So it could have happened. It's just luck if it didn't happen, and to a degree, it's just an incident when it does. So there's no way to know. Like everybody that's been in a certain that grew up in a certain way has fought with dudes that 2 years later they put some work in, and you was like, damn. Like you had a fight with somebody, and then 2 years later, hey, you hear what happened to what's his face? It was like got 90 years for killing, and you like shit. So I mean, that is what it is.
And even when I look back on my, high school career, I might be saying like it's okay to be a pussy now, but every time I fought somebody in high school, every time I stood up for myself, even if I lost a fight, all of those are actually really important moments in terms of like letting your peers know that they can't fuck with you, or at least that you're down to fight back.
You didn't die.
And and it's important for your own mind state too, because
you didn't die.
I think about a lot of fights I had when I was a kid that like, basically turned into like weird rolling around on the ground, biting and hair pulling matches. But I mean, that's important to let everybody else in school know that they
didn't
can't
fuck
just
with you
pick
after
on you.
that.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people, these school shooters and a lot of these people that snap in life, is because they're taught, look the other way, don't do this and do that, and then mentally they can't take this shit no more. One day they just fucking snap.
Yeah,
if they started knuckling up early and start being men at the end of the day, a lot of this shit wouldn't happen no more.
I think with a lot of those school shooters, they're taught their whole life that they have to be tough, and then they're not. They're taught their whole life that life is all about fucking bad bitches, and then at some point you realize, oh, I'm never gonna get any pussy, especially not anything that looks like the girls on the billboards. And then at some point, these guys are being fed all these messages about what the good life is. They realize that there's no possible way that they're gonna get anywhere near that. And at some point, they're like, well, fuck this world. I'm going to just take as many people out on the way out as possible.
But, bro, if I come here and I push you right now and you don't do nothing, that's sitting there telling the whole world that you can be pushed. And somebody else comes and push you, and somebody else comes push you. And that shit keeps happening. Mentally, my nigga, you're going to react the way that you never reacted before if you don't know how to handle that situation. If somebody comes here and push you, you knock them the fuck out, no one's going to come in here trying to fight you again, bro. And that's what kids don't, like, that's what the problem is now, bro, is that motherfuckers are so, oh, you should just turn the other cheek. No, don't turn the other cheek. That shit builds character. Get socked in the eye, get punched in the mouth, sock somebody, my nigga. If somebody bothers you, that's how the world works. Because if not, whether it's business, whether it's streets, people are going to walk all over if you don't stand up for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing is, however you do it, just don't allow yourself to be exploited or used by anyone. However you do it, whatever it is that you do. People have different ways they fight different battles. I used to know dudes who would do it with jokes. People would be straight up, hard up, ready to fight them. Step, come on, and they just cut them down with jokes.